Yo, what's up, guys? So, I wanted to show off the deck that I went 10-0 with at the Philly Regional. I decided to play Brandon Despia. As you know, I've been playing this deck a bunch, so I figured I'd do an updated deck profile for you guys. I played a very similar list to Wise's India as well, so I decided to play the same thing. I guess some shoutouts, of course, shoutouts to the Italian bozos who helped me learn this deck. And then, so you got Nesh, Pierre, and Zana. Shouts to Richie for driving me to the regional. Shout out to Cam the Man Neil for being Cam. Shout out to Gunther. Shout out to AJ for rooting for cheering for being my biggest cheerleader. And then also shout out to Ibra. All right, let's do this. So here's what I played. 3 Aluber. Some people played 2, but this card lets you do the most. So like this card is like lets you do the most broken combo. I actually don't even need. I don't even think I need to even explain it, but I literally see like so many lists playing 2 Aluber. So I just want to make it clear. You gotta play 3. You know. 3 Albazes. If you hard draw this card, it makes your combo better. So and also like because of Albalanetis, hard drawing this card is like usually pretty good. So and this card works really well with cards like Evening Match, and like a bunch of other breakers that I play. So I actually end up normal summoning quite a lot. 2 Quem, 2 Cartesia. So pretty much standard. I wish I played a 3rd Cartesia for Ogre in the format. With the lighting is kind of crazy, but so I got Ogred one of my rounds. And I hard drew the 2nd Cartesia, so it didn't matter, but it could end up mattering. So I kind of want to play maybe 3 Cartesia because it beats Veiler Imperm, and it beats Ogre in the format. So, but I decided to play 2 because I want to keep my deck count as low as possible. Because I feel that you need to really see, you want to maximize. So like, and when you play like Snake Eyes or any of the other decks in the format, and you're playing the hand trap war, you need to open 2 hand traps, which is typically about like 55 to 60%. But when you play a deck with breakers, it's a different kind of mentality where like you only need like to draw 1 breaker, and then you should be able to break most boards. And it's about like 80% to draw 1, or like 75 to 80%. So like your odds of seeing 1 card to break an opponent's board is better than you trying to draw 2 hand traps, or like it's likelier than trying to draw 2 hand traps. So I decided to play Despia because I think it's like the best engine that can utilize board breakers. I think like the other one is maybe Snake Eyes, like similar to what the Italians played at the Italian Nationals, where they play like Skill Drain in the main deck with Prosperity and like all that stuff. But I think this is like one of the decks that like can really push through your opponent's boards after you activate like a breaker card. And it also like you also don't need to kill your opponent, which I think is a huge benefit of the deck. But yeah, also what's up, guys? 1 Libellion, 1 Sarnier, pretty standard with the combo. Triple Albion. It's literally the most just upstart goblin on crack. 2 Mercurier. I almost wanted to play 3 at some point, because so one of the plays that you can do going second into like the fireboard is that you can contact fuse for Albalanetis, and then if you hard draw Mercurier, you can activate Brand Diffusion. If they Ash Blossom your Brand Diffusion, you can chain Mercurier to negate because you control Albalanetis, which mentions Albaz. And then Mercurier also works really well with Allure. When you activate Allure, it's better to banish Mercurier than Tragedy, believe it or not. Because this card searches you like Albion, Quem, Albaz, Cartesia. It searches you like more good cards, while Tragedy only searches you like your normal summons. So this card is like really, really crazy. But 2 really comes up a lot because one of the combo lines too, if you open like Brand Diffusion plus Branded Opening, you want to activate Brand Diffusion, then Chain Opening to summon Quem, and then Brand Diffusion would summon Albion. And then you can go Chainlink 1 Albion, Chainlink 2 Quem. Quem would send the Mercurier, so you have a Dark Monster to banish from your graveyard for Libellion, which would you then banish the Mercurier and the Albion. I'm sorry, and the Albaz to make Libellion. And then you could trigger the effect of Mercurier to search. And then you also put a Dark so you get value. And then you need the 2nd Mercurier because when you get Lost Access and you fuse again with Cartesia, you need to search a 2nd Mercurier for next turn. So yeah, that's also the reason why 2 is also really good. I would actually consider playing 3. Like this card is just really broken. Also, the really cool part about Mercurier is when you go second and you use Mercurier to like negate your opponent's Ash Blossom, for example, when you go for like the Albion line, you can actually banish Albaz and Mercurier to make Rinbrum and use Mercurier to search. And then the Rinbrum can contest your opponent's Promethean Princess and their SP Little Knight. as well as their IP Masquerena, which is like super broken. So that's like the other reason. This card allows you to make Rinbrum as well, so it's also fucking busted for that reason. One kit. This card's insane because like you can basically loop Brand Retribution. So like I only play one red because this card basically just recycles red or Retribution infinite times. And what a lot of people don't realize this, but you can use Cartesia, you can use Quem to keep reborning kit and just recycle and then just loop all your cards infinite times. I did that a lot on like the grindier matchups where like I would Quem back the kit and then use kit to like add back Retribution and set Retribution, and it was just like really broken because now you have like a counter trap every single turn. One Tragedy and then one Puppet. 3 Branded Fusion. Alright. Branded Fusion. 3 Branded Opening. 2 High Spirits. Loss and then red. High Spirits is honestly one of the best cards in the deck, but I only played 2 because I don't have enough dragon counts for it to like justify being a 3 of. Like if I play 3 of this, I have to add in like more Sarniers to my deck and like Saravis or like more dragons to up the dragon count for this card to be good. So it was just like really sus where like I have to play more bad cards to play more copies of this. So I decided just to play the 2 for like based on the number of dragons I have in my main deck. But if I would play a 3rd High Spirits if I can add in 2 more Sarniers in my main deck. So oh yeah, the brand openings are misprinted, yeah. And then you play Triple Allure Darkness. This card is really good because not only is it a starter, it's also a way to see your non-engine. So post side, like I never side this card out. I used to at first when I was playing branded because I was like, bro, like there's not enough cards to side in. But when you apply the logic, like you only need to see 1 breaker to beat your opponent. You don't ever side Allure because Allure is also a way to see your breaker, but also see your non-engine. So Allure is just too good. And then also if you Allure like an Albaz, your combo gets better. So like Allure also like the reason why if you Allure an Albaz and your combo gets better is because when you activate Branded Fusion and you send Albaz, and then you go for like the Lubellion line, you can shuffle the Albaz from the banish, which is like obviously like insane. Or if you go for Branded Fusion for Lubellion, you get to keep the Branded Fusion, you get to keep the Albaz in the graveyard and then shuffle from the banish. I also played 3 Fusion Deployment, 3 Thrusts, 1 Talents, 1 Call By. And then yeah, so I can explain these cards. So Deployment is obviously really good because of Lenatus and Cartesia to beat Impermanence, Veilers. And then I played 3 Thrusts, gets you every card in your deck, so there's nothing else to say. 1 Talents and then 1 Call By the Grave. Yeah, that's it. I didn't want to play more Talents because you actually end up, like I said, you only need to see 1 non-engine. Like you can easily brick on these type of cards, especially when you get imprimed. So I wanted to maximize my deck's engine and only play the amount of non-engine just to see 1. 3 Dark Ruler. This card is way better than Droplets. Like literally, I can't stress this enough. If you're going first and you're setting Droplets, you probably lost the game already. So like Dark Ruler is just like way better because it counteracts the whole board. And against Snake Eyes, I normally like would normal summon something, and like you can gauge your opponent's skill level a lot. Like I think so. Like when you gauge your opponent's skill level, you can see like whether or not they would do something based on how you play. So like I remember like I would go like normal summon Cartesia, and my opponent would just trigger the field spell to summon their IP, then I would Dark Ruler them. Like I don't know, you have to gauge their skill level, but there's also interaction with that, which makes Dark Ruler pretty good in my opinion. But yeah, this card is just like insane for me. I beat a stun matchup because of Dark Ruler as well. Like the guy summoned Fossa Dyna, and like having Dark Ruler was like pretty clean to beat it. So it just like randomly came up to there. And then Fusion Duplication and then Retribution. So not much to say about these. 46 cards in the main. You can make the deck 40 cards if you want, where you would cut 2 Aluber, you would cut another Merc, and then you would cut a High Spirits, and then that's like 42 cards I think. And then you probably, yeah, so you do something like this if you want to play even smaller count, but I think 46 was fun for my side patterns too.
Hey, what's up guys, Pack back here again, and before we continue with the rest of the video, don't forget to go to tixfilm.com and use Pack10 for 10% off. You can enjoy some of the best sleeves and playmats that Supreme Pro has to offer. Use Pack10 and get 10% off. Enjoy the rest of the video. See ya.
For the extra deck, I played 1 Clad. Came up against Kashtira because they're all 2500 or higher, especially with the field spell. You can like use their Fenrir if they have the Kashtira field spell. One Borderlord Furious. This card is how you beat a lot of like the trap matchups and the runic matchups. Lenatus is crazy. Also, a really cool play that people don't realize is that in a lot of like the grind matchups, like you can use Albion to dump a High Spirits from your hand to summon it, and this card is considered Albaz on the field, so you can use this to contact fuse your opponent's cards as well. So that's like another cool interaction. Guardian Chimera comes up against like Sun matchups, Runic matchups, and then against like the majority of decks. A really cool play that you can do is when you like puppet lock your opponent, and you think they might have like basically like one of the things you want to do is you want to like get red, and then when you draw like and use red in draw phase with priority. So you summon Guardian Chimera, and then they just can't respond. It comes up in like the mirror mostly to do that. But yeah, that's why Guardian Chimera is good. Querulous. A pretty cool play that you can do is against the fire deck. When you use Granganol to summon Querulous, and they go for the Zelantis OTK, which banishes the Querulous because of the Zelantis effect. The Querulous isn't summoned properly, so you can actually trigger Querulous to summon Albaz, and then they just lose. They just make MJ and they just can't win. So like that's a pretty cool interaction that comes up a lot too, where like you Granganol for the Querulous, and then you would use Querulous to zero everything, and then if you try to like banish it to like out it, you can just OTK them. Yeah. Sanctifier. Yeah, there's not much to say. This card is broken. Lebellion shuffles back all your resources. Stapelia. This card does not get summoned as much, but it's still fine to have. I would consider playing Sprind as over Stapelia, but this card also randomly comes up. If you get a Bestial on your gimmick puppet, you need to go Lebellion for Stapelia to shuffle back the gimmick puppet back into your deck, so you can Cartesia make Granganol to send the puppet back from the deck to the grave, so that the Bestial never mattered. And then you get to still puppet lock your opponent even if they Bestial your puppet. So you never actually Mercurial their Bestial. You would just like shuffle back the puppet from the banish back into your deck, and then do the Papito Locatito regardless. 2 Albion, the Branded Dragon, 2 Mirror Jade, and then yep, that's pretty much it for the extra deck. And then for the side deck, I played 1 Masquerade. This card is mainly for time, but for matchups where Lenatus doesn't come up, you would want Masquerade instead. So that's like basically the replacement. There's a bunch of matchups where like you never actually make Lenatus, so as a result, you rather have this card, and you can put your opponent underneath the threshold so they can't activate any cards as well. So, Duster, thrust target, beat skill drain and stuff. Barrier. I played Barrier because I did like against like some of like the worst decks. Like some of the decks are like a little bit weaker than yours. They'll just try to bury you. So, and then I also wanted a card to set off thrust if I get shifted by 10 pies. So Barrier was like pretty good for that reason. So he gave me another thrust target because if I can't thrust for fusion deployment under shifter because it doesn't do anything. So Barrier is good for that. I played the 3 cross out obviously for the Barrier. I sided this package a lot going second. It looks really weird to do it, but like sometimes that's like the only way you lose. And like they never actually like shotgun barriers, so like you actually can alert Albion and draw into like these combinations as well. And then I played 1 Ash, 1 Imperm for the cross out, but then Ash also is part of my side pattern for like this is also my side pattern for like the mirror match. So not only did I want cross out because it helps you going first, but then you also want cross out to beat the mirror, because I was actually really afraid of the branded mirror. But all the branded decks play 60 cards, so when you play like less cards, like 46, like you have a higher chance to see the cross out for the puppet in the mirror match, and then you can like have a higher chance to win the mirror even if you lose the roll. So I was very prepared for that. And Veiler isn't as bad because if you get Veilered, you can still activate talents and thrust, but Imperm is like probably like the worst card to get hit by, because like you can't like utilize any of your cards. So that's why I put Imperm for the cross out target, because I don't really care about the Mourner or the Veiler as much. It's mainly impermanence, so that's why. And then Ash Blossom obviously. 3 evening match. I consider main decking this card, but I think this is like the best card against like the fire decks, because after you evenly match them, like the game's just over. Like you don't really need much. It's basically like a dark ruler, but a little bit better, because you don't need as many cards to beat them afterwards. And this is how I won 2 matches. Like I got evenly matched. I got D-barrier twice in Swiss, and I won 2 of them because of evenly. Because even though they buried me, but because I evenly matched them, I simplified the game enough to where I set up ways to play on my opponent's turn pretty much. So like one of the matches against Fire, I evenly matched my opponent. He barriers me, and I went for this setup that puppet locks through D-barrier. So I can show you the combo real quick on how to puppet lock through D-barrier, because this was like the rest of my hand. It was this. Let me see if I can show you the combo again. I think opening, and then like it was like any dragon, but it could be also, it's just Albaz works or Albion works. So I evenly matched. I got D-barriered, so I'm like, okay, I know I'm getting barriered, so I have to like figure out a way to play on my opponent's turn. So I went for like a line where I went like Aluber for high spirits, branded opening effects, summoning the Quem. And then I went Quem effects, send Cartesia. If you want to be fancy, what you could also do is go activate high spirits and then chain opening. But I think this is completely fine as well. So you go opening something Quem send Cartesia, high spirits to Albaz away, and then you would send Albion. Let me see if I can do this for you. You send Albion, and then you would add a Mercurier or a Albion, depending on what you want to do. If you want to draw an extra card or put Retribution in the graveyard to add back the high spirits, that also works, because that's typically the play. You would go like Albion, send Retribution. If I can find it, and then you would Retribution back the high spirits, and then draw a free card. Okay, and then when you activate high spirits, you should trigger Quem to bring back the Cartesia, and then on your end phase you set branded in red. Okay, so at this point, like obviously you can't fusion summon, so you set red, and then you would set high spirits, and then you would pass on this, and then if your opponent goes like do whatever, let's say they go like bonfire, search Ash, Snake Eye Ash, you can then on resolution activate Cartesia. You can fuse these 2 away for Granguinol. And then you'd go effect of Granguinol to send the puppet. And then you can activate the Brandon in red to target the Albaz. And then use Albaz plus the Granguinol to summon Sanctifier. And this is puppet lock through like D-barrier going second after you evenly match your opponent. So then you would give your opponent the puppet, and then you would summon back the this, and then then Aluber will then trigger to get you follow for next turn. So you get Brand Fusion. And then this is like basically like Retribution would get back the high spirits, so you can like set it back. So, but yeah, this is basically like puppet log after getting D-barried when you evenly match your opponent. This came up for me in 2 matches where I won because my opponent buried me, but I evenly matched them, and I got the game to a simplified game state where I just played my cards, and my opponents like don't even know what's happening. Like they just think I'm like doing random shit half the time, to be honest. And then I just puppet locked them on their turn after getting buried, so it's just so nasty. Yeah, so that's like a combination. There's like other combinations that does this as well, but that's why high spirits is really broken. Because it lets you like do these types of setups. Yeah, so there's that, and then for the rest of the side deck, I played 3 droplets and then a Magnamut. I played droplets because of my pattern as well, because I needed so like I really don't like this card, but going second, the fact that you play droplets also means you can dodge Valor and impermanences, and I wanted more cards that also like beats like stun, because if you can this card is also good against like the stun matchups. This card is also good against Melodious. So I wanted like more breakers, and like the only other breaker I can think of is either Book of Eclipse or Forbidden Droplets. So that was kind of like, I just didn't know what other breakers I need, but I knew I needed 3 more breakers in this spot. Let me know in the comments if you guys know a better card, but I couldn't think of a better card than Forbidden Droplets. Because like I said, you need to really maximize the odds of seeing like that one breaker. So yeah. But I don't know a better card. I think it was either I tried Eclipse as well because Eclipse can bait your opponent's Ash Blossom. So like obviously if you like Ash Blossom when your opponent goes first is like way harder for Branded sometimes to win through. But when you go first and you get Ash, like there's still a bunch of plays you can do. But yeah, so I wasn't sure. Like I just put in droplets and it was good for me, so I didn't really mind it. So yeah, so that was pretty much the deck. Not much to say. I think I can definitely make my side deck a little bit better. But like the only cards that I think is like questionable is playing this package. I think D-Bear is fine, Magma's fine, Duster's fine. I think, and then I'm not sure on these, but this card, Shifter, Masquerade, Mag, and Duster. These cards were like probably the best cards. And then for the Crossout, I think more fusion dupes is better than Crossout. But like I said, I thought that Despia was gonna be a pretty popular regional deck, so I wanted Crossout for the mirror match. That's it. And then yeah, so I don't know. Like these were the cards that I wasn't really sure on. I think that, like, but these cards were the best cards in the deck. Yeah. So but that's pretty much it for the side deck. I think the main deck was pretty clean. I didn't really have any complaints about it. But yeah. Oh, for the side pattern, yeah. Typically, when you go second, I usually side out another Mercurier. I side down to 2 Alubers going second. I side out the fusion dupe. I side out one of the high spirits. And then I side out the Springer's Kit. Because when you go second, the Springer's Kit is pretty bad. Because like you have to give up a card in your hand and put it to the bottom. So like when you have 6 cards, all of a sudden if you have to play with Kit, you're playing with 5. So it's not really that good. High Spirits is like also a card that is good, but like it's like going second, you have to give up a card in your hand. And it does fuel your graveyard for next play, but I think if you need access to it, you'll just search it, to be honest. So I think it's like fine to cut this. Like I just want live cards as possible. Aluber because you have too many normal summons. And then Mercurier because second one is just not as good going second. And then yeah, the fusion dupe. So these are like the 5. And then like you could, depending on your opponent's deck, I was siding like this going second. So this is what I was siding going second. Sometimes, like depending on what deck they played. But yeah, like but like I know for example the Snake Eyes deck don't play barrier, they play skill drain. So I would side deck differently. But against like a lot of like random decks, I play against like pure cash. I sided these for this because it's pretty good. Yeah. And then like obviously if you play against like the Snake Eyes deck, it would be a little bit different. It would be like this. So I was siding 3 evenly match, 2 droplets, and then I sided the. I wanted 1 second, and then I sided out. No, this was it. I think I sided out exactly this, yeah, and that was a pattern for like the fire decks. You just need to see one of the breakers, yeah. Oh, sometimes, yeah, this was it, yeah. It's usually some version of this. You can also do, instead of the 2 droplets, which is why I was thinking it was kind of like whatever, you can also do 1 Duster and then 1 Imperm as well. That was like the other option. Because Imperm beats Appaloosa, and then if you beat the Appaloosa, you can be like with everything else. Duster's just like good overall. So yeah, there's like those are like the ways to go about it. I think that makes sense. I never sat out Albion because it's a draw card, and when you activate the draw cards, you like have a higher chance to see your breakers than your power cards. So I didn't really want to sat out any of the draw cards. Like High Spirits combo. Yeah, I guess I can. So like yeah, if you open like this plus, you open a Luber plus like Albaz. You're supposed to go, like, a lot of people search Brand Fusion here, but it's better to search High Spirits. Because you go with this. Because they never ash your High Spirits. Even though I think it actually ends up being correct to ash High Spirits, but they never ash it. So you can do something like this. Activate High Spirits, pitch Albaz. And you would send to Tiniclad. That would get you the kit. And then you would special the kit, and then get Brand Fusion this way. So the thing is, this is the most optimal way to combo, but if you want to play around an Ash Blossom on Brand Fusion, it's better to send Albion, because then you get guaranteed Brandon in red, so you still have an interruption after getting stopped. But it's never good enough to beat any real deck, so you kind of want to go for like the best combo line to like successfully puppet lock. Yeah, now you can activate Brand Fusion, and then the rest is pretty standard. So you would go this plus this for the Albion. You go Albion effects, banish. It depends if you want to keep the kit or the Aluber rotation. I like keeping kit because you're gonna get more Alubers in the future, but it's one of these two for Lebellion. I think having Aluber in the grave is probably better, but I think like kit is like way more useful for recycling all your engine cards, so it's whatever. You do this, shuffle, make MJ, shuffle this from the banish, attribute this, and then effect, you put loss up. Yep. And then on the end phase, you get both effects of Tedinclat and Albion as well. So you get access to Quem, and you get the Brandon in red. So yeah, and then that's pretty much the puppet lock right there. You just have to do it on your opponent's turn, but this is pretty much it. Yeah, and then you would set Brandon in red here. Yeah. And then all you have to do is on your opponent's turn, the way you puppet lock is like you have to like kind of be smart with it. You can't just like puppet lock like a bozo. So like you have to do it kind of like clever, where you want to play around like Call by the Grave as much as possible, or like Bestials. So like this is your graveyard. Like usually what I do is I let my opponent play a little bit, so they'll commit cards to the board. Then I would go like Mirror Jet effects and Rinbrum, and then I can then trigger the Quem to bring back the Cartesia, right? Then I can go effect of Cartesia, fuse to summon Grangonol, and then I'll go Grangonol effect, send the puppet. And then now at this point, what I'll do is I would hold the Brandon in red. I would not use it. If my opponent commits, like let's say now they like extend with like Witch, I can then activate the effect of Rinbrum to target the Albaz to summon it. Then use Albaz to fuse with the Witch. And then obviously I can go into Lebellion, into Sanctifier, and then just puppet lock them that way. And then I never actually use red. So if they set cards at end phase, then I'll red pop all their back row. But let's say they summon like, I don't know, they can summon anything actually. Like if they summon like I'm trying to think of like a good example. I don't know, let's say they summon Flamberge, I guess. Let's say they summon Flamberge. I would activate this, bring back Albaz. Albaz use their Flamberge to summon Lenatus. Okay, and then within the summon window, I would activate Brandon in red so they can't call by. So I'll use Albaz, and then use Grangonol, summon Sanctifier, and then still within the window, I'll activate the effect of Sanctifier to give them the puppet, and then get back Aluber. So like it's just like yeah. So that's pretty much how you want to do it. Like honestly, like the difference between like how Brandon players play is basically how well they can puppet lock and how safe they can make it. Because everyone can puppet lock, but they have to do it really well. To like, you want to make it as safe as possible. Where like it's you want to make it as Nesh calls it, you know. I don't want to say it, but yeah, you have to do it the Nesh that way. Just be super safe, and then because you don't want to hit into like anything. But yeah, you just have to hand trap the deck. Like that's pretty much it. Just hand trap the deck is pretty much how you beat it. Because I think all the breakers don't work into this. Actually, oh, Denny's in the chat, but like he like cosmic droplets me, and I don't even have loss up, and I still puppet locked it through droplets. Because I kept Retribution in the graveyard. Actually, I can show you this. This is a crazy puppet lock. But I had MJ, Sanctifier, and then a Quem on the board. This is the most insane puppet lock I did, I think. I have Quem on the board. But then the thing is, I had a Retribution in the grave that I held. So what I did was I went Chainlink 1 Sanctifier, target this and this, okay? And then my opponent chains Cosmic on my unknown set. My loss is banished, so I don't even have loss up. And then I go, okay. Then he chains Droplet, sends 2. But then I chain Retribution to add back the red. And then chain Mirror Jade to banish my Sanctifier. So the chain resolves backward, Mirror Jade banish Sanctifier. Droplet negates these 2 cards, like the MJ and the Quem. And then the Puppet resolves to summon back the Albaz and give my opponent the Puppet. And then, yeah, I get back Brennan in red. Then I go, yeah, then I use these 2 for Lebellion. And then, yeah, it's just Puppet lock through Droplets not without having access to loss. Yeah, so that's like the other thing you could do. So yeah, sometimes I keep Retribution in the grave to play around that as well, which is also crazy. But yep, that's pretty much the deck, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. I think this deck actually gets a little bit better post info because it gets you get access to the new Light and Darkness Dragon for Branded, and you can do some really nasty combos. You can do some really nasty combos where you would make the triple Omni negate. I don't know if you guys know about the new Light and Darkness Dragon that's coming out, but Branded actually does that combo like with one Branded Fusion does it, and you get to end on Mirror Jade plus triple Omni negate. Like that's not once per turn. So it's just like it's like they need to like drop. They need to use a breaker to beat it, but then like breakers don't beat Branded anyways. Because then you just Puppet Lock your opponent. So you can like do the Puppet Lock and have that triple Omni negate up. So yeah. Yeah, and then Banishment is like super playable, yeah.